It almost seems like there's forces within the church, in a leadership in particular, there's like an all-out war against the traditional Latin Mass. The Pope and the dicastery of the divine worship have greatly restricted its celebration, sadly, whereas Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict increased the accessibility of it. I mean, what do you think? Why? Why is this happening? Why is there this division? Why is there this rub within the church? Can you enlighten us, Bishop?
I think my impression is they are simply afraid. They are fearful. They fear this power of the tradition. The authorities in the Vatican, they fear the clarity of the traditional Latin Mass, the immense power of attraction which this form of liturgy exercises on the children, on youth. I have simply an example. I was in Africa, and there was a celebrated traditional Latin Mass in Latin. It was beautiful song by Africans. They sing beautiful Latin. They like Latin. And there was a small boy, maybe 10, 11, African boy, and one of the visitors from America, a journalist, he asked this boy, "Oh, did you understand the Mass? It was all in Latin, or mainly in Latin." And this child, this African child, answered, "I did not understand it. It is not necessary for me to understand, because the Latin language was for God, and God understands it." What a wise answer of a child. He answered this child more wisely than high-ranking clergy today who persecute the Latin Mass. Because this is for God, for His greater honor. And we are privileged. And so I think these measures of discrimination against the Mass of the Saints, the Mass of the Ages, which now the Vatican is implementing, it is simply a fear of tradition. And this is unreasonable. They will not succeed, because the tradition and traditional Latin Mass is a work of the Holy Spirit, and it's a work of God, and it cannot be destroyed. They will maybe temporarily do some discriminations, which are doing, unfortunately, but the more they will limit the traditional Latin Mass, the more it is growing. It's the same as the more the church was persecuted by the enemies, the more the church was powerful in the underground church. My experience was. The same will be with the Mass. The more the traditional Mass is persecuted by the Vatican, the more it will be powerful. And in the end, they will stand before the tribunal of God, and He will say to Pope and his bishops and these people in the Vatican, "Why you have persecuted me in the traditional Latin Mass? Why you have persecuted children, youth, families who were attracted to this Mass? Why you took away this treasure of them?" They will hear this, for sure. So we have to pray that God illuminates the Pope and the authorities in the Vatican again to come back at least to common sense, to reason, and let free the tradition, let free this treasure, at least, because it is a contradiction. The Pope says we have to promote the diversity of cultures. We have to promote, says the Pope, the diversity of religions, even religions in the plural. why not to promote at least the diversity of liturgical rites within the Catholic Church? Here are promoted all other rites, the African rite of Congo, the rite of the ex-Anglicans in the personal ordinariate, also a rite. Only one rite, which is the most venerable and century-old, millennium-old, only this one, the Latin traditional Mass, this is persecuted. This is not tolerated. This is a contradiction. And it is clear that the reasons are ideology, it is hatred of tradition, it is fear of tradition. But Christ will win, and we will continue with hope and be joyful to pray, to worship, even in the midst of some limitations, and pray for the Church without any sign of revolt or sectarian mentality or sedevacantist mentalities, all not the way of God, but love the Pope, even though, love the bishops, pray for them, and God will help us and intervene.